Today we are going to talk about the most underrated health and performance enhancing tool in our toolkit, breath. Hello and welcome to the latest video. Today we are going to go over a new article which will talk about breath or our breathing. More concrete, it goes over the advantages and disadvantages of nose and mouth breathing and how this can impact your health, and at least your health. I'm not sure if it talks about performance. If not, that's what I will do. I stumbled over breath and how it's underrated, especially when you're as a performance enhancing tool a few years ago over a podcast, I think, and thought that might be something you guys might like. So let's go over the article. Mouth breathing has a negative impact on our sleep and health, but some people think mouth taping can help. Here's what experts say. And mouth taping is really actually what it sounds. You put some tape over your mouth to prevent mouth breathing during the night. So let's get into it. Could getting a better night's sleep really be as easy as slapping a piece of tape over your mouth before you hit the sack? Olivia Rabinovich, a dentist in Castle Pines, Colorado, says it might be worth a try. Loosely taping your mouth shut is a low-cost, non-invasive strategy for sleeping more soundly. And it's really, you don't put like 15 layers around your head of tape and then that's it. It's really like an inch or something like this, just putting on it, so that basically it prevents your mouth to open up when you sleep. So if you really had to breathe through your mouth during the night, you can easily just open your jaw. You're not forced to breathe through the nose. In an emergency, your body could just rip it open, and that wouldn't be an issue. So it's just that as a heads up. But why tape your mouth shut at night? The idea behind mouth taping is that it will force you to breathe through your nose. Nasal breathing does have some advantages, according to Dr. Rajkumar. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Pulmonologist and assistant professor of clinical medicine at the Keck School of Medicine at University of Southern California. According to the doctor, breathing through your nose filters out dust and allergens, and it humidifies the air you breathe. It makes the air easier to flow down into your lungs, he explained. So really, that's really what happens. That's why you have these little hairs in your nose. They're not just there to annoy you or look weird or grow out of your nose, but that this is basically a filtering system. So if you go outside and there are pollen, so they get stuck there, so that they don't end up in your lungs. But similar with other pollutants or dust or whatever. And that's why your nose is always a bit humid, so that the air, if it's dry or not humid enough, gets some of humidity, so in your lungs it just feels better. But it's also, if it's cold outside, if you look at this from the side, the way from your nose through here into your lungs is the whole way here is a lot longer, because it goes up a bit and then down behind the neck into your lungs. This little bit of extra way gives your body some extra chance to heat up the air you breathe in, so it is better acclimated to your body temperature. So that's another reason why it would make sense to breathe through the nose, especially if it's cold outside. Breathing through your nose also releases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which means it helps widen your blood vessels, and it will improve oxygen circulation. With more oxygen, you will be more likely to get more restorative sleep, explains Rabinovich. And here's another cool thing where we can make the link to performance. Nitric oxide, as it said, it's a vasodilator, so you can pump more blood through your veins, basically. If you have ever used a pre-workout that is a pump workout, that is basically what citrulline and arginine and glycine and all of them are actually doing. They are nitric oxides, and they have this vasodilating factor. So if you have trouble getting a pump in the gym, there could be many reasons, like bad sleep, or you're in a caloric deficit, things like this. But one reason might be that you're constantly breathing through your mouth and therefore not generating enough nitric oxide, and therefore not you don't have physiologically the chance to get a pump. So you might have a look at this. So are you actually breathing through your nose throughout the day, not only the night, or your mouth? And many people who breathe through their mouth throughout the night are also mouth breathers throughout the day. So that's something that you can have a look at. Why mouth breathing isn't great for you. If you breathe primarily through your mouth, you won't get the benefits of nose breathing listed above. You're also more likely to develop dry mouth, which can cause a few different problems to develop. For one thing, dry mouth can lead to gingivitis. Dr. Dasgupta notes, the Mayo Clinic lists dry mouth as one factor that can increase your risk for gingivitis, which is a mild form of gum disease that causes redness, irritation, and swelling in the gums. Left untreated, gingivitis can lead to more severe gum disease, which can lead to tooth loss. If you have a dry mouth, it really predisposes you to bad breath, halitosis, and no one wants to have bad breath yet. So if you're trying to train yourself out of mouth breathing, mouth taping seems to be one of the more efficient and really super cheap ways to try to circumvent that and see if it helps, the doctor says. So if you wake up at night and you feel like you have to drink because your mouth is dry, chances are that if you have no one to check on this at night, that you are a mouth breather. So because that's something that should not happen. You should not wake up in the night with a dry mouth and feel the urge to drink a glass or two of water. So that's like kind of a red flag if you're wondering, are you breathing through your nose or your mouth, dry mouth? But Dr. Dasgupta is skeptical. It probably won't hurt you, he says, but it might not help you either. He suggests a few other options that you could pursue if you're breathing through your mouth. Allergy treatments. Allergies are often the culprit behind nasal congestion, so if you can clear those up, you might be able to breathe through your nose better. Nasal strips. Nasal strips can also open up your nasal passages and improve the flow of air and possibly reduce snoring. Stop smoking. Smoking can irritate your nasal passages and lead to a runny or congested nose, according to the Mayo Clinic. So basically what it's saying is that, well, it's probably going to hurt, taping your mouth. It's mostly, I guess, something psychological, because you might think you might unable to breathe. That's at least, I'm taping my mouth, so that's what I thought at the beginning. I was kind of scared, but that really never was an issue. And the suggestion here of the doctor are mainly people often breathe through their mouth because they cannot properly breathe through their nose. So, it's kind of hard to do this, if you ever had a cold and your nose is closed. There is no, you have to use the backup system of mouth breathing to do this. So there's, of course, try to figure out why your nose might be clogged up to circumvent this. But still, taping your mouth overnight could help if you actually can breathe through your nostrils. Want to try mouth taping? If you're intrigued by the concept of mouse taping and want to give it a try, it's first important to know when mouse taping might not be appropriate. For example, don't try mouse taping if you have a nasal obstruction, like I just said, like deviated septum or nasal polyps, or otherwise can't breathe through your nose, perhaps due to nasal congestion. Mouse taping will not work if your nose doesn't work, says Rabinovich, which is important. But a lot of mouse breathing is also force of habit. At one point in time you started to breathe through your mouth and you stuck with it. So if you can breathe through your nose, just, you have to basically kind of rewire this habit. It is also important to rule out other possible health conditions that could be affecting the quality and quantity of sleep you're getting. For example, you could have a thyroid condition or other hormonal imbalances. You might need treatment. Could you be affected by a sleep disorder like sleep apnea, which can't be fixed by just taping your lips together? That is a solid concern, which sleep apnea, if you're very overweight or obese, or maybe you used to be a wrestler and you have a really thick neck, then chances are that you are prone to sleep apnea, which can be deadly in the end if it's not treated. You might just, choke in your sleep in the worst case. So, figure this out with a doctor. Everything here, figure this out with a doctor, get some professional medical advice. I'm just some random guy from the internet, and I tell you here what I did and how it went. You might need some sort of appliance or device like a CPAP machine to help you breathe better. The CPAP machine is like a mask where it's linked to a machine that pushes oxygen into your lungs, basically, so it really forces you to breathe, which is the problem if you have sleep apnea. You just stop breathing out of nowhere while you sleep, and this machine pushes air into your lungs. I would definitely encourage you to have a conversation with your primary care physician, me too, about your sleep issues. Dr. Dasgupta is even more direct. Before you tape your mouth shut, please participate in a sleep study, he says, adding that there is now home sleep apnea testing available, so you might not even have to go to a lab, because these labs, it's not a fun sleep experience to go to a sleep lab, but it could really save your life. Once you've ruled out any conditions that might be a problem, then you can try taping. Dr. Rabinovich likes to put lip balm on her lips first so the adhesive doesn't rip the delicate skin there. Then she puts a piece of surgical tape vertically over both lips, just enough to help her keep the mouth shut. And that's the whole goal of the tape. It should just prevent to open your lips, nothing else. It's not even about, you could even breathe through it if you wanted to, because it's just here a bit, and the sides are open if you do it properly. There are even special tapes that are just go around your lips and are open in the inside, so you could still technically breathe through it, but because your mouth is shut, your body realizes this and does what it's supposed to do. It breathes through your nose. So yeah, that's it. You want to put it tight enough where you feel very mild tugging, but not so tight that you can't open your lips, even with the tape on, she says. In other words, you want the tape to be able to come off easily if you do not need to breathe through your mouth. If you're worried you might have a reaction to the adhesive on the tape, you could do a test somewhere else on your skin. Just put it on your forearm. This is a quite sensitive area, and if nothing happens there after a while, then you're most likely very good to go in terms of tape reaction. Next, climb into bed and see what happens. The good news is that if the tape bothers you, you're not committed. It literally takes 2 seconds to take it off your face, says Dr. Rabinovich. So yeah, this here is the tape that I meant with that goes around your mouth. So it is pretty fancy. It's quite expensive, these strips here. I don't know how many these are, but 27 euros, 30 cents per per tape, so that's like 100 tapes or what, 90 pieces per bag, so that is quite expensive. Then you have like tape, this is like 3 different ones, or no, that's one that's very wide, but you know, there are also smaller ones, but you could take something like this. This is a medical tape, hypoallergenic, which means, you know, it should be suited well for people who are prone to allergies, and you just rip off a very small spot and put it on your mouth, and then you're done. Pretty easy, pretty simple, and you're good to go. What I wanted to add basically is that if you are looking for mouth breathing, or avoiding it, and nose breathing rather, as a live and performance enhancing method, really spend some time into your daily habits, you know, try to have a look and figure out if you're actually breathing through your mouth. It happens more and more often in people for many different reasons, and even if you think you are performing well in the gym, this might be despite your breathing pattern and not because of it. There are even elite athletes where you would think, okay, they might be doing really well, so they might do everything correct, but that's not necessarily the case. It's just they're great despite doing this, let's say, not in an optimal way. When I stumbled over all of this quite a while ago, I'm going to show you a link, was when as I said, I stumbled over a podcast where Patrick McEwen was interviewed, and he was talking about his book, The Oxygen Advantage. I really can recommend this book. It goes through a little bit of history, but very deep into the functionality of why nasal breathing is the better way of doing it. It's the natural way of doing it. If we are born, this is how we are breathing, and somewhere later on we just stop. The Oxygen Advantage book has a couple of exercises that you can do to improve your breathing pattern, get better sports performance out of it, but also, you know, overall just re-establish, you know, this breathing pattern. While I did some research here, looking up the books, I saw that he has a new book. This came out earlier this year, The Breathing Cure: Develop New Habits for Healthier, Happier and Longer Life. So I'm not entirely sure what's in there, but it looks interesting. Maybe this is a few more exercises. Definitely going to check it out. As I'm really, this made a big difference, at least in my sleep. And if you sleep a lot better, you know, you recover better, you have better performance in the gym, you have more cognitive performance because you are less tired. So being less tired is also good in terms of your diet, because it's a lot easier to adhere to your typical diet. You will have less or no cravings, something that sleep deprivation kind of enforces. It gives you this I need a cookie hunger pangs out of nowhere. Something else, if you're really interested in the science and all the, let's say, history of nose breathing, then I really can suggest you James Nestor's book, which came out a solid 18 months ago. Breath, the New Science of a Lost Art. Super interesting, enjoyed it a lot. Both James Nestor and Patrick McEwen have been on many different podcasts. If you are interested in, but you don't feel like spending 8, 9, 10 euros on a book, or dollars, whatever, it's probably the same, I highly encourage you just to type in their names and the key term podcast, or the Oxygen Advantage podcast, or Breathe podcast, and they will likely pop up, and listen to a couple of their interviews. I think you will at least be entertained, and you might get a lot out of this. I really like this. I started doing this, not trying to lie, but I would say 3.5, almost 4 years ago. Still doing it, still looking after my breath here with all the talking. I realized that I'm not really breathing properly through my nose, but a lot more through my mouth because it's more convenient. So that's something that I might need some extra work. That's how we make, steps forward. Yeah, that's it for today. I really would like to know if you like these kind of maybe at first glance fringe topics, but I think they're very, very useful. And as I said, probably one of the most underrated things that you do every day for several thousand times a day, probably for a million times throughout your lifetime. So if there is a chance to get more out of it and have a better life, have a better performance with one breathing technique than the other, I really might suggest you have a look at it. Please let me know. I would be curious to know how this works for you. And yeah, so much for today. Hope you liked it. Like and subscribe the channel. Share this video if this is something you think a friend might know. I'm kind of bad at all this call to engagement, but it's really how the channel grows. Send it to somewhere. Sharing a video is actually very important. Please subscribe, that would be really cool. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.